Alright guys, welcome back to the Nerd Militia, where we read comic books and do dope shit. Today, we're gonna finish our discussion on the Disney streamer. So, when we left off, I'm super pro on the Disney streamer, or Disney+. And now we're gonna continue to talk about how I think this would help Marvel in the long run. See, the issue, totally not a pun on comics, between comic books and their movies have always been continuity, and also comics having the ability to go into greater detail on things. So moving forward, I feel like now that we have Disney+ and Marvel having all, well not all, but most of their properties, we will have less and less inaccuracies and more accurate storytelling. Now, I don't think we're gonna get XMan right off the bat. I don't think that the mutants are going to pop up anytime now. I really do believe that this is something that's going to happen maybe 2 to 3 years down the line. I just think the mutants have so much unpacking that it would be hard for Marvel to unpack them right away, especially being that it seems like with Phase 4, they're moving towards more of time and space rather than mutants and genes. But now, moving forward, Marvel no longer has to come up with wacky explanations on why Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch are here and all these other things that explain why people are advanced or have powers. Now they could just go in and say it's the mutant gene. And if they do create my favorite Marvel team, the X-Men, they could do it right this time. And we don't have to have the horrible Foxmen. I mean, this time around, we might just get a Rogue that's Rogue, or a Scott Summers that's actually Scott Summers. Maybe Nightcrawler will actually be Nightcrawler. Mystique can be Mystique. Professor Xavier could kind of be that self-righteous dick that has this weird fascination / crush with Jean Grey, which is also weird and something Scott Summers has to kind of deal with. You know, it doesn't end on what could be done right. Now, I said earlier that, like, you know, the MCU, Marvel has a lot to unpack when it comes to the mutants, and they may not be ready for it. But I think with the Disney streamer, they can unpack them well. With this unpacking, there's always, like, this fear of maybe the Marvel universe getting way too big and there's too many characters to care about. Well, that's how the Marvel comic book universe is. That's how it's always going to be. Even now, the faction splintering is already happening in the film universe. I'm a bigger fan of Thor's movies than I am his comic books. So there being too many characters is not necessarily a bad thing, and factions are already forming in the movie universe. You have people who, like I just stated, like the Thor movies or don't like the Thor movies. People who only like Captain America movies over the Avengers movies. Yes, that's a thing. So I don't think growth in this case is necessarily a bad thing. I think it would be awesome, and I think it will be amazing for us fans. And I think it would be cool to have that same sort of splinter faction happen in the movie universe as it's happening already. With growing this universe, Disney / Marvel, or Marvel in general, have the ability to take and grow talent, which we've already seen. They've taken phenomenal TV directors and turned them into, like, blockbuster filmmakers. And it gives a chance for young writers, young producers, young directors a chance to spread their wings and, you know, learn their craft in the most whimsical world of all. And it also gives these young writers, these young directors, a lane to play in. Now, what Marvel can do, what DC is actually trying to do now as they turn their wheels, is start focusing on these things called Elseworld. And these young directors and young writers can test their talents out on these Elseworld stories or on these one-shot stories, and it could actually be something cool. And with so many stories to be told, Disney+ is the best place for these things to be born. And like I said earlier in the earlier video, Disney has played with this concept before, and Super Sentai Power Rangers in Japan does this concept very well. You could give a young writer, young director a series to write and direct for, and as they get better and better, and maybe they have more viewers, you could give them a shot to direct a feature film that might go to theaters. And I say all this because it's quite evident that Disney understands what's going to happen in the next couple of years. They see the writings on the wall. There will never, and I don't care what DC does, but there will never be another Endgame. Endgame is what Star Wars was for the previous generation. It's that for us. And the blockbusting records it's making, the pre-ticket sales, there's not going to be another Endgame. Like, this is it. And so the writing's on the wall. And I think with the success of Endgame, you're going to start seeing not the bust of the bubble, because there's always going to be a need for superhero movies. But you'll see a cool down period. And this is the best place for them to kind of grow and hibernate for a while there, and without having to blow a box office. So yeah, guys, that's what's on my mind. That's what I think. Let me know how you guys feel on this whole Disney streamer, Disney+. If you think it's gonna hurt the world, if you think it's gonna crush comics, and again, I think it's for the good, and I think they're going to do it right. And I know, and I'm aware, and I didn't bring this up, but I am aware that DC Universe does exist. But for the most part, they, much like everything else they do, they're having a rough start over there. It's getting rough. I'm not going to get into it, but it's getting rough. And I think Marvel has the clout and the fandom to get off on it like just a freaking blow out of a chamber start. As usual, guys, thanks for stopping by. Stay excellent. Don't forget to check out some of my other videos. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and don't be afraid to visit the Nerd Militia, where we read comic books and do dope shit.